Okay, we're good.
Welcome to our Gunter Town Hall tonight. It's 6:19. We do not have a quorum. Pat did let us know at our last meeting that he would not be here tonight. He is out of town in Florida. And he did call me earlier today just to remind me and let me know his wishes in case there was any question on any of our agenda topics. We will not be able to take action tonight, but we will talk and we will discuss the agenda items and we'll still take comments from citizens and do all those things. So we are going to start though because P3 and Associates are here. So we are going to let them talk to us a little bit about the TERS, the financing plan. So Jordan, if you guys could come up and I think it was the financing for each of them. That's pretty much it. It's the financing plan.
And the Mustang, y'all had questions about that?
That's correct. We have questions about the Mustang ILA.
Okay, so we're probably not the Mustang ILA, but I can certainly talk through it. That's more probably from your bond counsel. That's my former life.
Okay, well, let's just do that next time.
Okay.
We'll do that. But if you'll cover the TERS financing.
Absolutely. Great. So my name is Jordan Sawyer. I'm the regional director for North Texas, where P3 works. We've been working with the city on these TERS plans. The TERSs were created back in December of last year. And so I'm going to turn it to Luke as the analyst who's really been the expert. So we can talk to that. Yes.
And all the citizens,
yes.
What P3 is and,
yes.
and what you do for the city.
Absolutely. So we are the city's PID and TERS administrator directly for the city. We're contracted with the city. So the PIDs and the TERSs throughout the area, all of those require ongoing administration to make sure that the funds are coming in and going out the right way. So we work for the city in order to make sure that all of those dollars are captured and replaced in the right way. So Luke will give a little update, just kind of what we're doing tonight on the final plans, and then we'll work with you on questions.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. So like Jordan described, what's in front of you all today is the final project and finance plans. And so these remain kind of substantially unchanged from the preliminary project and finance plans that were approved by. The main reason that statutorily the final plan is required is that it's really setting the flow of funds within the TERS fund. The creation ordinance back in December that was approved, what that did is it established the boundaries of the zone. It set a term and kind of the basic finances, and it also established a TERS fund. But what this final plan is doing is it's really solidifying the flow of funds within that TERS fund. And so that's just statutorily, that's why we're here for the final plan. And obviously happy to answer any questions about this one specifically with TERS 3 or 4, or just the TERS process in general.
Well, so going a little bit more, when you say the flow of funds, what does that mean?
Absolutely, yeah. So within TERSs can take all sorts of different shapes and depending on what it is. And so for this one, based on what was negotiated in the development agreement, how it's set up is honestly a pretty simple flow of funds. It's described in the project and finance plan. Essentially, it just flows the money from the tax flows directly into the TERS fund and then to pay for first administrative costs and then to an economic development grant that's set forth, and that will probably come to council in one of the meetings after this. Essentially, it hasn't come to council yet. And so essentially the flow of funds within the final plan, once the final plan is approved, this flow of funds is solidified, but it doesn't actually obligate anything to the developer. And then the next TERS agreement that will be signed after that is what actually contractually obligates the developer to the dollars within the TERS fund, as long as they uphold their obligations in the development agreement.
I don't have any questions.
Doge.
Well, thank you, Luke, and yeah,
Absolutely,
Jordan. Thank you.
and then we'll be back up for the bid.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's look and see. We didn't have anything else for you guys tonight, right?
We had the bridges PID, but we can introduce that a little bit.
Let's go ahead and talk about that then.
All right.
That makes it easy.
Perfect.
Fine. Number 13?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the PID 1B, so tell
Yes.
us about that.
Yeah, so again, Jordan Sawyer, Regional Director of P3, we work for the city. In this role, we are serving as the administrator. Our job has been to prepare the service and assessment plan, which is essentially a statutorily required document that sets out what costs can be paid for out of the assessments. So the Chapter 372 Local Government Code governs what is required in the service assessment plan, and this is to make sure that anything that is assessed is providing a benefit that is equals or exceed the amount that is actually being levied. So we go through with Eric, with the team, to actually really run through what is being built to capture those total improvements, and then we allocate those costs to make sure that they are actually tied to the benefit provided to the homeowners. So again, Luke is here. He's been the analyst on this deal who's really been running that. He can give you an overview of kind of those projects, what we'll really be going through. The next action, I would say, the action to be taken tonight, the action that would happen next is so there would actually be a resolution that approves the calling of a public hearing. Then there would be another public hearing to hear about those levies before the bonds are sold. So Luke can give you a little bit more specifics on that one.
For sure. Yeah, Jordan gave a good description of the resolution that was on for tonight. It's really just considering the preliminary service and assessment plan that really just sets the project costs. And what we define in the service and assessment plan is the authorized improvements that the later assessments are going to be paying for. And then, like Jordan said, it's going to open the public hearing, and then also it will, in the service and assessment plan, we have a proposed assessment role that is also required by Chapter 372 to be available for public inspection. So, like Jordan said, we've been working extensively with city staff and as well as the other consultants for the city to confirm that all of the costs that we're defining as authorized improvements are authorized under 372 and also within the city's development standards and the development agreement and all those things. So it's always a working process with the engineers and the developers, but happy to answer any questions that you want to ask.
Good until next time. Okay. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next time.
Was there a question on ILA? I'm happy.
Yes.
Yes.
For the Mustang one, yes, because I hadn't seen it yet.
Okay. And I will say, I'm not the city's bond counsel.
Yeah.
I have played that in the past, so I'm happy to kind of explain what an ILA generally is. I have not seen this agreement. So in order, state statute under Chapter 272 says before you can use assessment dollars to pay for any improvement, those improvements would have to be dedicated to the city or to an authorized party. And the way the Texas Attorney General has read that section of Chapter 372 is the dedication of those improvements to a third. So is that Mustang Sud will be the recipient, I believe it's both water and sewer, of those improvements because they're the provider here. But because they are receiving those improvements that were funded from assessments, the city has to enter into an agreement. The ILA will say, we, the city, are authorizing you to receive the dedication of these improvements. In exchange, Mustang will agree to own, operate, and maintain those. So because they will be the ones who are taking over those improvements, they will be the ones to operate and maintain them. So really, it is an agreement that is basically doing what was already, formalizing what was already going to be done where Mustang takes over because they are, with the CCN holders, they are the only authorized to provide in this area. So again, that's how I see ILAs generally. I'm pretty sure I know what this one says, but that's what I normally see. So happy to answer questions on that.
No, that makes sense, but it's also something we actually need to talk about.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. So and this for Gunter, for bridges 2B. I told you we're going to 1B. Thank you.
1B.
It was 2A last year, and now it's 1B
And
this
now
year,
it's
so it's
1B.
real fun.
Yeah.
I know it's getting due to a heart attack. So that is what was also done for that transaction. I was a bond counsel for that one, so I know we did an ILA at that time.
Perfect. Awesome.
I guess that's
Thank
probably
you.
why it's kind of been a question, because we haven't seen it, these ILAs as frequently as we have seen
Right.
the TERS.
The ILAs are any deal where you are dedicating improvements to the user, which would typically be when they holder, an ILA required agreement.
So, and that was it happened before I even owned it. So that was before May of 2023. So we haven't seen one yet.
Yeah, so that was it. That one had an ILA as well. I was bond counsel for that one. So it had an ILA with Mustang, but it was very standard very,
Some of the pay requests we still saw because they're still finishing the infrastructure.
Yes, yes.
So we'd see, hey, they're pay requesting for this much of drainage or this infrastructure that's the cities. And sometimes we see the sewer and water too. Say, yeah, that's our perspective of seeing that it's in the ground, so they can do good work. And you think Jeter gets a headache? Like my team. We both have headaches.
I've had the honor of working with these guys. They'll be 9 years October, and I cannot imagine having to deal with the PIDs or the TERSs or any of this aspects of it without them.
That's what we're here for.
Them and Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor Raymond, Norris Fulbright is former home, so particular to them as well. But yeah, we appreciate it. Obviously, y'all are having lots of decisions about where the city's going. We're happy to partner with decisions.
Y'all been great. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Those papers I gave you.
Yes, I got them. I'll get them to one company. All right. Is there anything else? With?
I think it's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Safe travels back.
Thank you for our town hall.
Of course.
Thank
We'll see you in
you.
a few weeks.
Oh, kind of productive.
We can save speed limit discussions for next time. Okay.
We can, but I mean, Adam and I are ready to talk about it. There's no thing on it really. We're just going to
Let's save it for next time. Unless y'all want it.
I mean, it makes sense to slow these guys down, especially.
There is, but
There's
we have some nuances.
There's
that
some
we need to talk to
nuances
you
there
about,
about that.
but we can wait.
Does the public have any comment
Well, I
on
mean, do
that?
y'all want to hear about the speed limit?
Speed limit. On the
Speed
agenda?
limit.
It is town hall.
Streets.
Let's turn it into town hall.
Y'all can
We don't let them speak often, so.
That's true.
If you guys are good with 0 to 60, let us know.
What areas
Do y'all even understand what this change is gonna be?
We're just talking about it generally because a couple of people have asked in different areas. One in the Meadows, of course, the private street, so maybe talk about it real quick. Just kind of give us an
All right.
overview.
Yeah, I mean, Danny's down on tickets, so let's.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you an overview.
This is work off of that.
Good evening, non-council. As I turn around.
Yeah.
You want to sit down?
So this was based on, I had different residents that were interested in lowering the speed limit, one from the Meadows and two from the Bridges, I believe. And they both brought it up, and it occurred about the same week. And so I just told them, there wasn't really a for council to do it. We haven't established anything to do that. So let me give you what I've seen. So currently, a municipality can lower as a residential speed limit to 25 miles an hour. But there appears to be some disagreement as if a traffic study is required to lower the speed limit for residential streets within a municipality. The cities Flower Mound, Prosper, and Aubrey have enacted a reduced speed limit of 25 miles an hour in residential areas, and they did it without studies because the studies that if it's basically like road up against one of those criteria that you might have to do a traffic study. So they basically looked at it as it's residential, we wouldn't have to do it. But other cities do the exact same thing, they do it with studies. Okay. With a traffic study, it is allowed. To look at this till June. Let us go into the neighborhoods, do some speed monitoring, see what really is occurring in the neighborhoods, first of all, so we have some data. And one of the other things I ran into is on the Meadows. The Meadows are private streets. And the stuff I've looked at says maybe the police can always enforce criminal actions. It may not be that they actually have the ability to do traffic. I read several pieces on this. Those residents actually have to. So that is something we need to research. Something true. I did not think that. They said that if the city has no maintenance whatsoever of those streets, then there is documentation where very often those residents actually have to ask for us to alter speed limits and come in and enforce them as well. Because if they put them miles an hour is standard for residential streets, other than with something like this. So that's what staff was suggested, is that you give us till June and we come back with some data and some better clarity on things like the Meadows, because the Meadows is unique. It's the only one that really that fits that. It's different than the others. So that is our recommendation. Council could do it if council wanted to go to the community and say, they want to evolve a mechanism. They don't actually have to do it by petition. They could just do it as a body. But there is no current way to do that they've established, that council's established. So like I said, I think we come back in June, we give you the facts, and then we make some more informed decisions.
Why don't we do that? I mean, there's no reason to bring it back next meeting then. If staff's asking to give us some time.
Do the HOAs have any control on it? I mean, I don't want to enact Big Brother if an HOA can handle it.
No, they
I'd love to
don't.
do it, but no one actually.
They can't do traffic laws.
They can only be responsible for clearing the streets.
And this also factors in for upcoming communities like Platinum. This would be something that council would probably, in my opinion, my humble opinion, would want to decide prior to those communities coming in.
So let's do that. Let's just push this one off until, put it on the first meeting in June.
It's 5 below.
You guys want to bring it back before then, we'll do it. But I think that's our discussion, and that's what staff is asking.
That probably sounds logical.
I think that it's probably a good idea to let them work on that.
Some studies I'm just not a fan of. Pay money for an opinion.
City administrator job description, we'll pass on that one. Either of you that asked for it. The audit, we won't be able to accept it tonight. We've discussed it though. It was a very good audit. We won't be able to accept a resignation. We will not be able to appoint.
Do you explain with the budget though that we don't have to approve it, that it's already been approved, I just heard it in?
Oh, I did. Was that before or after we kind of opened up town hall? So you're talking about the audit, right? Yes, so the audit only, statutorily, it only has to be filed in the municipal clerk's office before March 29th, and we did that. So we met the guidelines. Whether or not council ever accepts it, doesn't matter. So
Good job on the audit.
it was good. We had a great audit. Okay, agenda items in the
So
future.
Ken Boyd's on the hook for another couple of weeks.
What's that?
Ken Boyd.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait on that. Do you want to do a Parks and Streets update, or do you want to wait on that?
I can do it just so you're aware of it. I'll only go over things that really people might be interested out here to hear.
Maybe
So,
touch
And there is
on,
at least one citizen wanting to speak on one of those.
yeah, I'd like for you to kind of explain that,
items. Okay.
because Glenn did sign up, and that was related to your update anyway.
Yes, it is.
So why don't we do that and then allow Glenn to speak afterwards?
Okay. Just real quickly, the bridges right now, repairs are underway in the bridges on a couple different streets. Something like Wolf Ridge Run and the other one I can't remember. So there's they were there today. They've done half the street on Wolf Ridge Run. They'll be doing the other half probably in a day or two. Obviously, the concrete needs to be hard enough, so it's really going to be a couple days for cars to go over it. And then on just to update on Autry, so we had a bid opening. I had my Wednesdays mixed up, so I thought it was next Wednesday. It was this Wednesday. So our bid opening, and it came in the low bidder. It hasn't been verified by the engineers yet, but I think it'll hold. It's $94,000. So it's right where we thought with a pretty probable cost was $98,000. So that's spot on. I do think we're going to be able to decide once we peel back the concrete, we're going to probably reevaluate that. But one thing I asked the bidders, the engineers to do is I just needed apples to apples. So even if we pull the concrete back and it turns out we might be able to address it with flowable fill without yanking the culverts, you're looking at around $24,000. So anyway, so we'll judge that when the concrete comes back, and I'll probably have a timeline involved on Autry next week as far as the project. And the last one is Broken Bow. And so, of course, everything is flagged. I was hoping the contractor was there today. He's not. You're going to be there except for one particular area, and that is on 101 and 103. Between those homes, there's the channel that between them. And when we did the flagging, I met with the homeowner, 101, who's here tonight, Mr. Larson, and the easement that was marked out, which is the legal easement, it's not even where the water's going today at all. It's way up in his yard. If we were to utilize that easement, I'll tell you now, we would have to completely tear out his septic system. Yeah, completely.
No.
So we are looking at some alternatives. One was to slide it over, and then because of the way the water flow and the culvert location, we've actually approached the neighbor, and we've talked about basically abandoning the easement on 101 Broken Bow and moving it completely to 103 Broken Bow. The entire easement would move over, about 2,000 square feet. But obviously that homeowner wants to see it staked. So I'm working with it's a different group with Cobb Finley that does the staking. So I reached out, we talked today, and we're setting up a Teams meeting to move forward on that. So that does not stop the rest of the project though. We're still going to be able to work on the channel and the other easements. It just stops it where it comes down to behind those homes.
I want to see it stay
Can
too.
you explain real fast, the actual timeline as to how things progress for Autry Lane?
Sure.
It's been kind of discussed on Facebook that Autry Lane had a piece of steel placed over the top of it. It's been that way for months. And you kind of explain how the process actually works.
So it was actually, and I've sent a letter to the residents saying, the process. The day that it was, or the following day after that was, those sinkholes were noticed. It's actually gone very fast. So we had an engineer out the next day, maybe that day. Actually, it was that day. We had a contractor out the next day to look at it. We determined we did not feel it needed to be plated because we could not see how bad the void was under the concrete. So we put the plate on there. But there's nothing on that job that can move until we actually peel back the concrete. The thing that was different is council, we put this at the very next council meeting. Council gave it an emergency authorization. And then we moved forward under those emergency authorizations to basically get the bare minimum for 3 qualified bidders to bid on this project. If we had not done that, we would have gone through formal advertising in the paper for 2 weeks. And then the bids would have been turned in. The entire process would have been lengthened probably by about a month if we'd have gone as a formal RFP. So we did not do a formal RFP because that allowed me to under emergency measures, I would say almost 3 times faster to get us to where we are today. And then normally we would have allowed a bid time on a project like this. It probably would have been about 3 weeks. We gave them 10 days. So every piece of it has been faster. It just feels that way. And I have reached out to the Autry residents to let them know this. In fact, they'll be happy I got my Wednesdays mixed up. So after this meeting, I want to tell council first, but I'll be letting them know. I'll send it out tonight because we won't be here quite as long. And just let them know, actually, the bids have already been turned in. So the project, that picks up another week. So that is the timeline as that goes right there. And it is a little bit of an unusual project because, like I said, until we peel the concrete back, we can't do anything until that concrete comes back out. And because it is only one ingress and egress is the same one, that is a complicating factor. But it is for the protection, so the plate stays until we pull that concrete out.
This process may actually move much faster than it would have under normal circumstances.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think you picked up about
The
a
plate's
month.
not a patch.
If you've ever seen the town thing, most people here that have waited, I know some people, waited for
Waited a very long
waited
time.
for processes. City government, I'm not getting on my high horse here, but
Move slow.
government is designed to move a little slower because you make mistakes when you move real fast.
Yeah.
And so we have to go through all the state required bid protocols. And this one would hit that. So like I said, we've moved it much faster, I believe, from other projects, especially as you approach $100,000. This project actually has gone pretty quick.
Thank you. Do you have any development updates that need to happen tonight, Eric?
You know, we can have to tonight. I can go over the one that I sent you the email on if you want, just real quickly.
Remind me, I got a lot of emails today.
Sean's
Mostly
good.
about 1B. Is Sean here?
He left.
Oh, he left.
I don't have any huge development. One of the things we found out today, I got the warrant study that Centurion American hired an engineering firm to do for 121.
Jason
Jason
Nichols,
basically.
Crescent Crossing.
Crescent Crossing, yeah.
That was cool.
So they did the warrant study. It doesn't look like it at this point in time warrants a traffic signal. So there was some descriptions, and when they did the traffic counts and the evaluations, they understand that there's site visibility issues, and then the timing and sequencing of people trying to get in and out based on the volume of flow that the school causes. So I don't know, we might talk to TxDOT about maybe lowering the speed limit out there so it gives them more time interval in between, or people more time to see and gauge the depth perception of being able to get out. So that being said, the TIA or the school district did show that they needed to do turn lanes on 121. So the warrant study didn't indicate that those turn lanes would be, go away, or any traffic issues would be resolved by having a traffic signal. But as the warrant study is there in place, TxDOT isn't interested in doing one. They're not going to. So other than that, we had many development meetings with developers that's with the Cleveland Smith, the development center, with the preserve that's under construction right now. Obviously, they have a potential purchaser for the commercial track that was on the front right now. So we'll be bringing some stuff on their hit assessment back to you, because the potential buyer wants to be removed out of that. HID was never going to assess it, but there's just some other technical issues, and Jordan's already on that. 1B, Bridges 1B, as you're aware, is well under construction right now. They're cooking fast as they can, even though they're trucking in all the concrete. Hopefully the weather doesn't slow them down, because they do have a commitment with some builders to take down some of the lots, or at least lot purchases sometime around the end of May. So they're on kind of critical mission time frame right now to try to get the subdivision built and constructed and done as quick as they can on most of it. Other than that, we talked to Jessica today, that has the daycare over in the elementary school. She's looking to try to do a ground up facility because her business is doing so well. And then the lease is kind of somewhat uncertain with the school district in a way, where she's at right now. So we talked about some other developers that are looking at some of the other developments that have entitlements right now, and just trying to see when they could potentially break those loose and go. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. I'm going to come back to citizen comments, because I should have had Glenn come up following Adam. So Glenn Edwards, you'll come up and you're welcome to speak.
I'm Glenn Edwards. I live at 101 Broken Bow in the woods of Preston. I've been there probably 24 years this August, and maybe the second or third resident out there. I know Jerry and other are my neighbors. This is a positive example of what I'd like to talk about tonight, where we all know the problems that the city has had maybe a year ago with not listening to citizen input from either council or city staff. But this example, the drainage and easement issue, which is behind, I guess, Channel 1 from west to east, basically down towards Preston Road, is always run behind my house. I mean, when you have a good rain, it's flowing water. And having lived there for 24 years, I know exactly where the water goes and where it doesn't go. So when they came out and the contractor staked it out, So wait a minute, this is not going to work. It's you're going to have to take out the utility and telephone facility. You're going to have to take out my septic tank and take out my good part of my irrigation system. But Adam Adams came out once, and then Mr. Bingham came out the second time. And I showed them, and they were receptive to listening to, let's formulate a common sense approach to this. Because the water goes straight down channel 2, perpendicular from channel 1, the culverts that are there. I've had some temporary fixes that I've done over the years so that my neighbor across Broken Bow, her house doesn't get flooded. I mean, that will, I guess, be addressed in the next fiscal year budget, or maybe the homeowner could do something on her own to channel the water away from her house. I know I certainly would. But in this example, Mr. Adams and Mr. Bingham came out, showed them, got with my neighbor to adjust the easement and perhaps redo the survey and make it so that my neighbor at 103 doesn't get flooded out. And like last night, when we had a strong rain, it goes right through channel 1, probably up to me, the depth of water. And before over the years, erosion has taken place such probably flooded 3/4 of my backyard. Never got in the house, but I know other people in the woods of Preston have this type of issue. So they're looking to address it. I have hope that we'll address it in a common sense. And as they say in the medical profession, do no harm. You know, let's not make it worse.
That's right.
So, you know, as the city grows, I hope here, but quite frankly, what I experienced about a year and a half ago, made me want to move because things were dysfunctional. You know, the railroad, say that's another issue. Can't fight the railroad, but at least getting is now people are listening to citizen comments and trying to form a plan of action that makes sense and will work. Nobody's going to want to come here if you have a dysfunctional city staff and city council.
Thank you, Glenn. Mike, since we're doing citizen comments, do you want to come on up?
I hope I'm better than last time.
Okay.
Sorry.
The last time you left your house at
This is
home.
taking off. My name's Mike Gallagher. Rich. I wish a few other people were here. You have your truth, I have my truth, and then there are the facts. Simple. I have the pleasure of complimenting the mayor and the council way of doing business for having 2 years in a row of having good audits. Don't know how that happened. I don't know if any of you are responsible for it, but I think you are. Thank you, and keep on doing a good job. My take on it is they are acting responsible with city money, our tax dollars. Again, good job and thank you. I am not exactly sure what happened in 2 short years of doing city business for anyone to think going back to the old way of doing business, city manager, city council, Prop A, in my eyes, is a complete wrong way of doing any business on many levels. It's a logistic. There must have been 300 people there, all pissed off. I don't want to go through that. And for those that don't know it, our old city manager actually sits on the Mustang Board.
Mayor.
Oh, what, oh,
He
right,
said
thank
mayor.
you, sorry.
Okay.
Yes, anyone else see anything wrong or possibly shady with this? I know I do. Most of us have heard of the rifts. Drop it, suck it up, or step aside and let somebody else do city business for the good of the people of Gunter and the future of the rapid growth coming north on Preston Road. There is no time to waste on personalities. Your first thoughts should be the city's future. I understand that the people of Gunter elected you for one reason or another, and I thank you for your time. But please keep your eyes on what is best for Gunter. Going back to the city manager, city council form of government is not the way. The city manager is a paid job, $140,000 to $180,000. He or she does not have to live here. He or she has absolutely no skin in the game with the exception of a paycheck. Let's not forget our last two city managers. In my eyes, they were nothing but they use city time and city equipment to better themselves, not the city or her people. A broke down tractor and trailer that was supposed to be a command center. Hell, we need so much. And this was a backdoor deal that cost us thousands of dollars for junk that we sold for $500. This deal was between our old police chief / city manager. From what I understand, that was with a family member or an extreme. You could not make this up for a better plan. Thank God we no longer have to deal with this. So I asked, how is going back to this form of government good for the city? Then why else do council members think Prop A is what we need after having years worth of good city on with what's good for our small town? I asked the people of Gunter to flood the polls and vote no on Prop A and let elected people from our town continue to run city business. May God help us. In closing, to all the keyboard commanders, I hope you hear me. Come to a meeting. I, for one, want to hear your side of the story. Like you, that should not matter. Just spread the truth and not your feelings.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak? Town hall, come on up.
I'm going to piggyback off of you. Brandy Mont, 1300 Sparrowhawk. I'm going to address all because I feel like this is so important. If you choose to run and serve on a city council, you're accepting responsibility far greater than personal preference or opinion. You're there to represent the people, all of them. Outcomes that you agree with. Public service is not conditional. Don't go your way, and it certainly does not give you disengage when discussions become difficult. Deliberately missing meetings or stepping away from your duties out of frustration is not just unprofessional. It's a direct disservice to the taxpayers who trusted you in that seat. Every missed meeting is time lost, decisions delayed, and progress for. And I want to remind you guys, you're elected to serve this position. People believe that you guys are going to do your job. And whenever you have this many people show up, and I'm new here, this many people show up to a meeting, which doesn't seem a lot. This is our time, it's valuable. And important decisions aren't being made tonight because we have certain people that decided not to show up, that we elected. Leadership means showing up, staying engaged, and doing the work, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you disagree, especially when serving on the city council is not about winning every vote. It's about honoring the commitment to serve with integrity, consistency, and respect for the role. The people deserve elected officials to show up, do their work, and put community above personal feelings. And I hope that's taken seriously because we've got elections coming up. And I see people that are here to show up and do the work, and I see people in the short time I've been here not show up to do the work on behalf of the people. And if being silent is the way you're going to do your work,
So I'm going to add to that, because I'm hauling I can. On the back of my binder, before every single meeting, I read this. This is the oath of office I signed on May 18th, 2023. All of us have to. Every elected official in this state has to take this oath. And I read it every single meeting. I, Karen Sauer, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of the mayor of the state of Texas and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. That's why you have to be in the city, not for your own personal reasons. Okay, is there anyone else who wants to speak? I'm an open forum.
Can I say something that's got nothing to do with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
The track team is going to region.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Yes. That's awesome. Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so, Gunter Fire and Rescue Report. Captain Cameron, would you like to, you probably, got the code enforcement too, right?
Yeah,
You wanna,
I got them all.
you got them all. You wanna come up and tell us about them?
Sure, I can. So, just a couple quick nuggets. We've had 17 inspections that we performed on code compliance in the month of March, which involved 14 new cases and 6 closed and 6 are still in progress. So you can see that in those metrics on there. I won't say it very loudly because I'll get walked right out of here, but this was the, once again, lowest number of fire rescue calls in a month that I've seen since I've been here. So that's 2 months in a row. We hope that it stays quiet like that. That is very unusual for us, but we're very thankful for that too. So we had 19 calls in March, which is almost half of the normal of what we would
You
normally
said the
have.
Q word.
Yeah, I know I did. I said the Q word. People are really trying to figure out what's going on there. So as you can see, obviously on there, a variety of the metrics there, but as usual, it's usually a 50 to 70 split between EMS and fire. So we have obviously a wide variety of EMS calls there and some fire and all hazards, that type of stuff. So, and then on the PD side, you'll see the report there, variety of calls for that they reference there, and the numbers there are pretty typical to what y'all have seen in the report matrix, and then a couple other notes on there too. So no major within any of code compliance, public safety, police, fire, that type of stuff. So that's the general gist for everybody to understand what we are doing, since I'm talking to everybody. For me, ma'am, or anybody else?
No, but I do love these. Do we put these in the packets?
No, so part of what we're working on is how we're going to handle that on the packets. Some of the data, and when it gets to y'all, is pretty pertinent on time, but also some of the bullet nuggets there. We're trying to get y'all the most up-to-date data. So when we have to push it so far out to get it to you, sometimes some of that content needs to be shows up in front of you.
And then agendas have to go out a full week in advance now.
Exactly.
So it is kind of hard to keep it. These are great. Cool. This helps a lot. Thank you.
Very good.
What else do we have? I think that's everyone. We do have a report, and I'm gonna let Alan explain this one on our TCEQ monitor. Update.
Yep.
Is it?
So I reached out to David Larry, Dr. Larry, about the monitor because we're always bringing this subject up to everyone, but nobody gets to see exactly what this thing is. If everybody remembers, we had back out years ago out in Linda Hunter's property out in Wall Street, we had an air monitor that was basically scientific. It was donated. It was just a test monitor, and I actually had one of the. Yeah, that was it. I actually had one of the remotes on at my property, and of course, over the years, it eventually failed. It was Gunter Clean Air that had actually provided the first mothership, as they called it. And once we saw this TCEQ violation that came in over the sewer, the fine that we had, $22,000.
Yeah, so we were able to enter into the
Hey.
SET program to,
Yeah.
instead of paying the fine, actually put that same amount of money back into the city in an environmental.
Some environmental way. We gave them 3 different options. They chose to go ahead and do a monitor, which ironically, the cool part about it is TCEQ never recognized these users. They want a commercially acquired set. It's not going to be charging these cities $120,000 for an air monitor. The parts per million that breathes for this one, the closest one that we have is at the Denton Airport. So this monitor is going to be monitored through a website called Shared Air, and you will be able to pull up that website and you will see exactly how the air is breathing on a moment's notice. Now that we've got fiber internet, it's going to be really quick. So we'll know when we're having a bunch of truck traffic because you'll start to see the parts per million head up and changing, and when the weather comes in and it cleans the air and all that. So right now, that's a picture of to our siren pole out here, and we're volunteer doing that. Basically just self-donations, but Cameron and I are going to work on getting this out there. And right now, that's what the monitor looks like. It's going through calibration, and we've still got about another 6 more months of calibration to go through with it.
So originally you said August, so that's, pretty close.
It's pretty close.
I think we paid for it in September.
Yeah.
It's
And we
almost
went,
a year. It takes a while to build these things, so pretty cool.
he walked through the entire process of how they determine, how they calibrate them, what started this whole thing.
It's very interesting, actually.
That was just 2 hours of going through his place.
They do a lot of work for military and putting equipment on soldiers who have to go into areas where a lot of really bad particles have been dispersed. And so pretty cool.
So this is the first monitor, which is basically the mothership, and it is being designed that we purchase remotes if we decide to as a community that we want to have one of the bridges that'll be able to communicate so that we're actually able to see as vehicles or traffic or dust patterns or whatever are traveling through us. And we could even put one north of us that will read into this mothership so that everybody can see where those remotes are. So we're just waiting for it and excited to get it. We had to spend the money, so we might as well spend it on ourselves.
Exactly. It's a lot better than paying a fine.
Yeah.
Spend it for us. So thank you for that update. I'm so glad you reached back out to him to see if there was anything we could show you guys, because we've been talking about it for everybody's like, oh, ever gonna do this? Well, we are, and this is why it takes so long. It's a process. Okay, what else is on here? That was for our Mayor Alderman report. I don't have any other announcements. We can't do anything with the consent agenda. Our council business executive session, there is in there. Employment contract negotiations, we will do that next time. Our city secretary annual review. Sorry, Deidre, you're gonna have to wait on that. You care. It's just that time of year. And we are going to talk about Alderman William Stevens. So originally, this was placed in executive session because when I explained the incident, I anticipated some personnel questions because it doesn't just involve William, it involves staff as well. So I'm going to start with Texas Local Government Code. Section 22.042, powers and duties of the mayor. The mayor is a municipality. The mayor shall at all times actively ensure that the laws and ordinances of the municipality are properly carried out. The mayor shall inspect the conduct of each subordinate municipal causing negligence, carelessness, or other violation of duty to be prosecuted and punished. And lastly, in C, the mayor shall give to the governing body any information and shall recommend to the governing body any measure that relates to, among other things, good government for the municipality. So, you heard some shalls in there, and I already told you I honor my oath. Those are my orders per the state of Texas, and I'm always going to do this. So, the purpose of this agenda item was for transparency and accountability of city governance. You deserve to know what we're doing. The matter involves an elected official and therefore must ultimately be addressed in the open session. If our city attorney abuses her office, she's the subordinate municipal officer, right? It says that I shall inspect, then I would have to bring that to council and let them know because they hire and fire her. If our city secretary abused her office, I would have a duty to bring that to council because they do the hiring and firing. When an elected official abuses his office, that duty is for me to bring it to the citizens because you hire and fire all of us up here. That's why this is in the open. Whereas if it were about any of them, they would be in executive session as a personnel issue. So, a municipal court citation was issued to an individual. That individual happened to be William's assistant. William personally regarding that citation. The outcome of that communication was that the ticket was dismissed outside of the proper legal procedure. I became aware of the matter, and after a conversation with the judge, the matter was brought back to the municipal court. It was processed through the proper legal procedure like it should have been done originally, the same as any other case. And this action was taken to correct the process to ensure consistency under the law. Now, following that, William entered himself as attorney of record for the individual. He then handled the ticket on that individual's behalf through the court process. That's another problem in itself, and I'll talk about that. But this raises concerns. For me, as a taxpayer, it's not fair. Elected officials are not permitted to use their position to influence judicial outcomes. The municipal court must remain independent and free from outside pressure, even from council members, mayor and aldermen. The court's purpose is to ensure equal justice under the law, fairness for every single citizen should have the same opportunity, no special treatment. Any attempt to intervene creates the appearance, or sometimes the reality, of abuse of office, unequal treatment, erodes public trust. So, the actions that I have taken according to my mandates for the state of Texas. A formal complaint was filed with our police department on two things. One is abuse of official capacity, Penal Code 39.02. And I'm going to read that to you. A public servant commits an offense if with intent to obtain a benefit, he intentionally or knowingly violates a law relating to the public servant's office, misuses government personnel that has come into the public servant's custody or possession by virtue of that public servant's office. I also filed a complaint based on the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, which states in Article 2A.105, grounds for disqualification, it states a district or county attorney may not be of counsel adversely to the state in any case in any court. And I'll explain what that means. Adverse to the state, William is an assistant DA. He works for the state. He can therefore not be adverse to the state in any case in any court. And in our municipal court, it's fine-based, but it's still a criminal court, so criminal court procedure applies. And that means that when you see a ticket, you get a ticket here in Gunter, it's not going to say the city of Gunter versus Karen Souther. It's going to say the state of Texas versus Karen Souther. So he cannot put his name as the attorney of record or his assistant. Those are the two things I filed the complaint against. Now, do I believe that there will be prosecutorial consequences? No. Our police department conducted a preliminary review. They gathered all the data. The matter was then referred to an outside agency for further investigation. We were denied by the Texas Rangers. We were denied by the Grayson County DA's office. We were denied by the Grayson County Sheriff's Department. I can only do my part. I cannot force anyone to do theirs. So I'm putting this back into the hands of the citizens. Is your problem now. I will say this. I know that some are going to try to frame this as a political hit. Some are going to try to say, oh, you know, the timing. We've got an election coming up. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't choose the timing of this event. He did. And this is not about an election. This is about, again, Williams' conduct. So I guarantee you, if I use my position as mayor to get a family member, my husband's speeding ticket dismissed by the judge, and just make it go away, the outrage, as it should be. And I think that we would all agree that that would be absolutely patently wrong for me to do that, and I would never do that. So the expectations should be the same for every single elected official, without exception. That is all that I have to say. I did handle this with our judge, and I am 1,000% satisfied that this will never happen again. And so we've handled that as a personnel issue. I'll explain it more to council at the time. In fact, when I had the conversation with our judge, Jerry was here. He was finishing up, I don't know, the meeting with Eric or something, when I showed up at, we only get court once a month, and it was on March 2nd. So I came here and I waited for the judge to finish, and I said, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And I had questions, right? I had to ask for myself and do a little digging and some research. And because Jerry was sitting here, I asked him to come in and he was a witness to the conversation. So it did happen. We've corrected it, and you deserve to know. So. If there's anybody else who wants to have questions for me, or that pretty much sums it up. Or if anyone wants to speak, that is all I have for tonight. I don't think that would have happened either under a manager form of government. I can tell you that.
No.
That is because that oversight came from being in a mayor council form of government, that I had the ability to then go and ask questions and the authority as CEO of the city. So I prefer y'all vote no against Prop A. And I can say that because this is a town hall. So if anybody has anything else.
TK, do you want to say anything about 50th anniversary of the?
Yeah.
Well, can I start with?
Yes.
I didn't want to say this, but I just want to inform a lot of people because it wasn't our event to publicize the chamber, but the chamber was asked to join with the school district, who was, so our superintendent is giving an address tomorrow at noon he's calling it the annex, which is the old elementary. The school district has named it the annex.
The annex.
So, the old elementary at noon tomorrow, it is open to the public, but Dave finished the school audit and he's going to give the results. So on growth, what the audit is promote, how the city's going to grow. He's going to talk about many other issues, but he's like the guest speaker. So, and it is open to the public tomorrow, so you're all invited. The chamber was just asked, the school district asked us to come in and we'll have some sandwiches and things to serve, just to work with businesses, so the Rotary, the school district, and the chamber are involved.
What kind of sandwiches?
At what time? At what time?
Yeah, what time?
It's at noon tomorrow in the annex. Just,
You're not here on Fridays.
there's,
I can't be for sandwiches.
That's true. You just gotta feed them.
50 cigars, it's all
grilled cheese.
Yeah, you gotta feed
good
them.
enough.
so, and then on the 4th of July, we are in full planning mode. Your chamber does this event every year. This is a special year, 250th anniversary of our wonderful country. It is going to be bigger and better. We have a lot of things we're in the works with that we are finishing up, but it is always on the 4th of July in Gunter. So always on the 4th. Come, we act. We have a professional concert stage this year with
With a cover?
Yeah, with a cover. And understand that last year was the first year and that the chamber's ever thrown the event that
The rain.
the rain came and that horrible storm that hit Kerrville, it came through Gunter. So it was the first time we had to evacuate. And we do work with our school district, and so we evacuated over to the annex. Sorry. Old elementary, the annex. But then the show went on. So we had a terrific fireworks. So we have it's going to be at least a 20-minute fireworks. We have it again. We're working on an opening act. We have our band on a professional stage. So on the event, so you should start seeing probably on Monday. We'll be starting to send out everywhere and start promoting it and asking for any sponsors who want to be. Or we're looking for both sponsors and vendors to make this event just bigger and better and more fun. And it's honestly a labor of love from your Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot that goes to planning this event, and we do it. It's a labor of love. It is not a fundraiser for us. Everything that we collect goes to paying for the event. So we would love all of you to attend, and let's celebrate 250 wonderful years together.
Any small donations?
Any small donations. We'll take anything.
Make it big.
Do you have the flags to go on the fence?
Excuse me?
Do you have the flags to fly on the fence?
The
At the
banners?
At the park?
Ones that were stuck in.
Do we have them? I have them. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, the ones that we stick in them. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you have enough of them?
I know we've ordered some new ones, so we should have enough to go all the way around the fence.
Okay.
There's not holes drilled. Those are somebody before, I think, drilled some holes in the top. So we do them as far as we can.
Do you need more holes?
We might. I mean,
Oh,
wow.
What? We'll take
I think we're done freezing everybody to
Yeah.
death.
holes.
So,
If you were cold, it was my fault. She wasn't feeling very good, and
I'm always hot.
So we're gonna make someone else sick. So you
Yeah.
don't get sick. Is that what it is?
No.
I mean,
I had
That's
a
my
meal
girl.
that was past its prime.
her partner is sitting right
And
next to her. She'll hold it up for
Adam
you.
went and got me some Pepto, so I'm better now. I'm just like up here
Show
going,
him.
this isn't gonna go well tonight.
Show the partner.
Oh, I guess this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this just
We
in
were
case.
prepared.
I was prepared. I was hoping I wouldn't fall off wrong, but no, the Pepto works.
But I gotta.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other one,
You got
It works.
I'll bring the